Our story begins deep in the forest, where two travelers suddenly come under attack from a monstrous beast. Just as it's about to tear them apart, a young swordsman charges in and takes the creature down in one clean strike. His name is Tatsumi, and though he looks like just another wanderer, he's a warrior with one clear mission: to reach the imperial capital and join the military, hoping to earn enough money to support his struggling village. But even in this moment of victory, he gets a warning. The travelers he just saved tell him the capital isn't what it seems. It's crawling with demons. Not monsters, but people. The kind of people who smile at you in the day and prey on you at night. The kind who kill the innocent for their own gain. Tatsumi listens, but his ambition blinds him. He thanks them for the advice, then heads straight toward the shining city in the distance. When he arrives, the capital is everything he imagined and more. Towering buildings, bustling streets, endless opportunity. For a boy from a poor village, it feels like another world. Confident, he marches into the government office and declares he's here to enlist. But reality smacks him in the face. Instead of glory, he's told he'll start at the bottom, doing grunt work like carrying bags and cleaning floors. Tatsumi refuses, demanding a higher position. He's a trained fighter, not some errand boy. His pride gets the better of him, and the officials throw him out without a second thought. Broke, alone, and humiliated, Tatsumi stumbles into the city streets. That's when a mysterious young woman approaches him. She promises she can pull strings and get him a real military position, but only if he buys her drinks first. Desperate, Tatsumi agrees and soon finds himself in a bar, watching her drink like she owns the place. She swears she has connections, but says she'll need money to grease the wheels. Naively, Tatsumi hands over every coin he saved, trusting her to keep her word. Hours pass. He waits. But then a waiter tells him the truth. She scammed him. She's long gone, and so is his future. That night, with nowhere to go, Tatsumi prepares to sleep on the streets. But just when he's about to give in to despair, a refined girl approaches with her bodyguards. She offers him shelter at her family's mansion. Suspicious, but with no options left, he accepts. The house is massive, the family warm and generous. For the first time since arriving, Tatsumi feels like maybe things will turn around. But beneath the surface, the capital hides its darkest truth. That very night, assassins strike. A feared rebel group known as Night Raid storms the mansion. The family's guards are cut down one after another, and chaos erupts. Tatsumi leaps to defend the girl who gave him shelter, determined to protect her. But then the mask slips, and the truth hits him like a blade to the chest. This family isn't innocent. Behind their polished walls, they've been capturing innocent travelers, torturing them, and experimenting on their bodies. And in the middle of this horror, Tatsumi discovers something that breaks him completely. His own friends, the ones he had been separated from during the journey. One is already dead, brutalized beyond recognition. The other, barely alive, whispers the family's sins. They lure people in with kindness, then destroy them for fun. Suddenly, everything makes sense. The warnings, the corruption, the demons of the capital. Night Raid hadn't come here for greed or chaos. They came for justice, and as Tatsumi stands there watching his world fall apart, he realizes the capital he dreamed of serving isn't a place of honor at all. It's a nightmare. But this nightmare is only the beginning, because on this bloody night, Tatsumi's path will collide with Night Raid itself, and his true journey is about to begin. After witnessing the mansion's horrifying secrets, Tatsumi makes a choice that changes everything. When one of Night Raid's assassins moves in to kill the young noble girl, Tatsumi steps forward, but instead of protecting her, he delivers the final blow himself, ending the life of the girl whose family had tortured and killed countless innocents, including his best friend. But the pain doesn't end there. His other companion, the last piece of home he had left, dies slowly in front of him, poisoned beyond saving. Tatsumi's tears fall as he realizes he's lost everyone he traveled with. Seeing his pain, Night Raid takes him back to their hideout, whether he wants to or not. At first, Tatsumi resists, but grief and rage weigh too heavy. The next morning, he buries his friends and swears silently that their deaths won't be in vain. That's when he meets the group properly. Leone, the same trickster who once scammed him, now reveals her true self as his unlikely guide. One by one, Tatsumi is introduced to the colorful and deadly members of Night Raid. Shiel, calm but deadly with her oversized weapon. Mine, sharp-tongued, arrogant, but undeniably skilled. Bulat, the powerhouse warrior with unmatched strength, whose friendly handshake also reveals he swings both ways. Lubbock, the sly flirt who can't stop running his mouth. And finally, Akami, the quiet girl whose blade carries death with a single strike. Despite her cold presence, Tatsumi notices glimpses of something softer in her, hidden behind years of bloodshed. Their leader explains the truth. Night Raid isn't just a band of killers. They're part of a larger revolutionary movement, fighting to tear down the corruption that rots the empire from within. The emperor may be a child, but the real power lies in the hands of a greedy prime minister whose greed bleeds the villages dry. For Tatsumi, it clicks. The poverty back home, the suffering of his people, it all ties back to the monster sitting on the throne's right hand. At first, he struggles with the idea. Killing to fight corruption? Does that really make them the good guys? Leone reminds him harshly. Justice or not, blood will always stain our hands. In the end, Tatsumi makes his decision. If the capital is a nest of demons, then he'll fight alongside Night Raid to destroy them. To prove himself, Tatsumi is sent on his first mission, assassinate a brutal officer named Ogre. Alone, outmatched and terrified, he steps into the lion's den. Ogre sneers at him, mocking his dream of joining the military, boasting about the innocent lives he's crushed with his power. That arrogance is his downfall. Fueled by rage, Tatsumi strikes, slicing through Ogre's defenses and ending him once and for all. Exhausted but victorious, he returns to Night Raid's base. Akame, usually stoic, quietly checks him for wounds, her hands lingering a moment longer than necessary. She admits, almost in a whisper, that she was worried about him. For Tatsumi, it's the first spark of comfort since his friend's deaths. But his relief doesn't last long. Before he can even rest, the team senses movement outside their hideout. A group is approaching fast. Are they allies, survivors, or hunters sent by the Empire to wipe Night Raid out once and for all? One thing is certain, Tatsumi's trial by fire has only just begun. Because this was only the start of his journey with Night Raid. After proving himself on his first mission, Tatsumi's training takes a new turn. Out on the road, Bulat surprises him by revealing his Imperial relic. An armored transformation called Incursio. With a single command, his body becomes cloaked in steel, showing Tatsumi the true power of legendary weapons. But back at base, the team has no time to rest. Scouts report intruders near their hideout. Akame wastes no time. Her blade strikes with lethal precision. What makes her sword even more terrifying is the poison it carries. One scratch, and death is certain. Leone, Mine, and Shield back her up, taking out the rest of the spies in brutal fashion. For Tatsumi, this was his first real taste of how deadly his new comrades could be. The next day, his training shifts to Mine, the sharp-tongued sniper. At first, she drags him around like it's just a shopping trip, but things take a dark turn when she shows him a public execution. Innocent people beaten and left to die slowly. This is what happens to anyone who dares oppose the Prime Minister. That moment hardens Tatsumi's resolve. Soon, Night Raid is sent on another mission, to assassinate a high-ranking official tied to the Prime Minister. Mine lines up her sniper shot, and with a single bullet, the man is gone. But the guards swarm instantly, and the streets erupt into chaos. Tatsumi fights alongside her, but when the captain of the guard almost overwhelms them, it's Tatsumi's quick thinking that saves her, holding the enemy in place so Mine can land the finishing blow. For the first time, she thanks him sincerely, a rare glimpse beneath her proud exterior. But peace never lasts long. Their next target is a serial killer named Zank, a former executioner who lost his mind and now slaughters for pleasure. Tatsumi faces him first, only to realize Zank's relic allows him to read the thoughts and movements of his enemies. Every strike Tatsumi makes is predicted before it even lands. Just when things look hopeless, Akame steps in. But even she struggles. Every move, every swing of her blade, Zank already knows. Until Akame does something unthinkable. She empties her mind completely, fighting without a single thought for him to read. In a burst of speed and willpower, she overwhelms him, shattering his blades and cutting him down once and for all. The battle proves something to Tatsumi. Strength isn't just about power, but about clarity of heart. Inspired, he throws himself into harsher training than ever before, preparing for whatever comes next. After his brutal training, Tatsumi grows curious about why each of his comrades joined Night Raid. When he asks Shield about her past, she reveals a painful truth. Growing up, she was clumsy at everything, always mocked and looked down on. The only comfort she found was in her best friend. But one day, when her friend's abusive ex attacked, Shield snapped. In a moment of rage, she grabbed a knife and slit his throat. The violence awakened something inside her, a cold satisfaction. But that choice changed her life forever. Her friend abandoned her in fear, and soon after, the man's allies murdered her friend's entire family. To avenge them, Sheil hunted every last one down. Killing gave her a twisted sense of purpose, and that's why she chose Night Raid. It wasn't just about justice, it was the only place where her darkness had meaning. Meanwhile, Tatsumi, wanting to grow stronger, asks their leader about obtaining a relic of his own. He learns of a terrifying user, an ice commander known as Esdeath. With the power to freeze entire armies, she has already conquered the northern tribes. Now, the Prime Minister summons her to the capital, with one mission: crush Night Raid. But while that storm brews, Tatsumi heads into the field with Leon. The two chase down a crime boss in the red light district, someone who traffics women and poisons them with drugs. Leon's wild side clashes with Tatsumi's more disciplined nature, but together they storm the compound, cutting down his men before executing the boss himself. Elsewhere, Mine and Sheil are assigned their own mission, but as they prepare to leave, they're ambushed by a capital soldier named Seryu and her monstrous relic, a living beast called Koro. Driven by revenge for her fallen mentor, she unleashes Koro's terrifying regenerative powers. Bullets and blades barely slow it down. The battle is brutal. Mine struggles as Koro overwhelms her, but Sheil jumps in, buying her time. She fights with everything she has, severing Seryu's weapons and protecting her partner at every step. But just when victory seems possible, Seryu reveals a hidden gun in her own mouth and fires. In the chaos, Koro tears Sheil apart. Her last act is to shield Mine, telling her to live on before she's devoured. The loss devastates Night Raid. Tatsumi, furious and grieving, vows revenge. But Bulat reminds him with a punch of reality. Every mission carries the risk of death. Rage alone won't win this war. Mine, however, hardens her resolve. She won't forgive Seryu, and one day she'll settle the score. And just as Night Raid mourns, Esdeath finally arrives in the capital, her icy smile hiding the bloodthirsty ambition to annihilate them all. But little did Tatsumi know. This was only the beginning of his true trials, and Esdeath would soon change his life in ways he never imagined. After Sale's tragic death, Tatsumi throws himself into training like never before. He knows he has to grow stronger, not just for himself, but to protect the comrades he's come to care about. But during one intense sparring session, Bulat suddenly strikes him mid-fight. Tatsumi is caught off guard, but Bulat scolds him. Real battles aren't one-on-one duels. Enemies attack from every angle, and if Tatsumi doesn't stay sharp, he'll end up dead. Meanwhile, chaos brews elsewhere. A group of nobles critical of the Empire are suddenly ambushed by three vicious assassins known as the Three Beasts. Sent directly by Esdeath, these killers don't just wipe out their targets. They leave behind Night Raid's symbol, framing them for the massacre. Their brutal tactics send shockwaves through the capital, forcing Night Raid's boss to act quickly. To prevent more false accusations and unnecessary bloodshed, the team splits up to protect key figures who might be next. Tatsumi is assigned to guard duty alongside Bulat aboard a warship. But things take a dark turn when a strange sound spreads across the deck, putting everyone into a deep sleep. Everyone except Tatsumi. Struggling to stay awake, he suddenly finds himself face to face with one of the Three Beasts. This enemy isn't just strong, he wields an imperial arm, a legendary weapon with terrifying power. Tatsumi does his best to hold his ground, but the beast's abilities quickly overwhelm him. Just as Tatsumi is about to fall for a deadly trap, Bulat steps in, saving him at the last second. The ship erupts into chaos as Bulat faces off against not one but multiple beasts at once. His speed and strength are unmatched, but even he realizes this battle is far from simple. Soon, a shocking twist is revealed. One of the beasts is none other than Bulat's former commanding officer, a man named Lever. Once a respected general, now twisted by betrayal and corruption, he fights under Esdeath's banner. What follows is a brutal duel of old allies turned enemies, each strike filled with history, pain, and regret. Bulat pushes himself to the limit, fighting with everything he has, but Lever uses his own blood as a weapon, turning his body into a poisoned arsenal. Both men land devastating blows, but ultimately, Bulat proves stronger. Lever collapses, confessing with his final breath that Esdeath freed him from prison, only to use him as another pawn in her games. And with his dying act, he reveals the cruelest twist of all. The poison from his blood has already entered Bulat's body. Badly injured and poisoned, Bulat knows his time is short, but instead of despair, he sees one final chance: Tatsumi. He tells the young warrior to inherit his imperial arm, Incursio, even though doing so could kill him if his body can't withstand its power. Tatsumi is torn, caught between fear and determination, and as the enemy closes in, the question becomes clear. Will Tatsumi risk everything to accept Bulat's legacy, or will he fall before his true journey even begins? Because this is just the beginning of Tatsumi's path with Night Raid. After surviving brutal training, Tatsumi finally unlocks Incurzio's true power. The armor wasn't just a weapon, it was forged from the skin of a legendary dragon. The moment he activates it, the beast's spirit fuses with his body, adapting perfectly to him. When another monster attacks, Tatsumi's strength surges so high that he defeats it with a single blow. Watching this, his mentor Bulat smiles with pride, knowing Tatsumi will one day surpass even him. But with his dying breath, Bulat warns that he may not live to see that day. His death leaves Tatsumi shattered, sobbing beside the warrior who had become like a brother to him. With their numbers dwindling, Night Raid pushes their training even harder. Their leader reveals disturbing news. Esdeath, the Empire's strongest general, has formed a new elite squad known as the Jaegers. Meanwhile, in the capital, Esdeath herself assembles this terrifying team, which includes Akame's own sister, Kurome. Back at Night Raid's hideout, Tatsumi learns of a fighting tournament hosted by Esdeath. Seeing a chance to test himself, he enters, and one by one, crushes every opponent. But his biggest victory isn't the tournament. It's that he catches the eye of Esdeath herself. She chains him like a prize and claims him as hers, declaring him her new favorite. What follows is a strange mix of danger and twisted romance. Despite being Night Raid's enemy, Esdeath falls deeply for Tatsumi, while Tatsumi tries desperately to convince her to abandon the Empire. She laughs off his ideals, insisting the strong rule the weak. That's nature's law. Still, she can't kill him. Instead, she keeps him close, hoping to change his heart. But Tatsumi has only one goal: to escape. During a hunt with her soldiers, he seizes the chance, activating Incurzio to disguise himself. Yet, he's confronted by Wave, Esdeath's loyal fighter, who mistakes him for a Night Raid assassin. Their clash is brutal, forcing Tatsumi to retreat heavily wounded. Luckily, Akame and Lubbock find him just in time and bring him back to safety. Meanwhile, Esdeath is furious, but not because Tatsumi escaped. Deep down, she believes no one can truly kill him, and she may be right. Because even as the Jaegers close in, Tatsumi is growing stronger, determined to stand against her no matter how much his heart wavers from her unexpected affection. But this is only the beginning of Tatsumi's dangerous bond with Esdeath. Mind steps in just as a deadly enemy unleashes his weapon. With a single devastating blast from her massive rifle, she wipes him out completely, leaving only his Imperial arm behind. Soon after, Night Raid's leader arrives, introducing two powerful new allies to strengthen their battered team: Chelsea, a sharp assassin with a gift for disguise, and Susanoo, a living weapon bound only to her command. But peace doesn't last long. The mad scientist, Dr. Stylish, storms their base with waves of soldiers, trapping them in poisonous gas. Everyone begins to collapse. Everyone except Tatsumi, who's protected by Incurzio's armor. Just when all hope seems lost, Susanoo proves his worth, slicing through Stylish's army. But the doctor mutates himself into a monster, devouring his own men to increase his strength. It takes Akame's poisoned blade, guided by Tatsumi, to finally pierce his core and end his reign of terror. After relocating to a new hideout, Night Raid begins training again, preparing for the Empire's next move. That's when Chelsea reveals her ability. She can transform her appearance into anyone or anything, making her a master of infiltration. Meanwhile, we see cracks forming on the enemy's side. Beasts unleashed across the land are revealed to be humans turned into monsters through twisted experiments. Suspicion points toward Dr. Stylish, but with him gone, the Jaegers are left searching for answers. Amid all this chaos, an unexpected moment of vulnerability comes from Lubbock. While on patrol with Tatsumi, he opens up about his past, confessing that he once lived a privileged life but left it all behind for one reason: love. He had fallen for Night Raid's leader, Najenda, and gave up everything just to stay by her side, even though she may never return his feelings. Tatsumi is stunned by the depth of his comrade's devotion, but danger never sleeps. During a mountain patrol, Tatsumi runs into Esdeath again. For a moment, it looks like he might finally escape her grasp, but before he can, hordes of beasts attack. Esdeath freezes them all with terrifying ease, proving once again why she's feared as the Empire's strongest general. Just as Tatsumi prepares to slip away, Both of them are suddenly teleported to a deserted island by the Prime Minister's son who wants to test them. On the island, they're forced to fight side by side against a monstrous creature. Esdeath unleashes her icy powers, while Tatsumi strikes down the man controlling the beast. Together, they win. But this shared battle only deepens Esdeath's obsession with him. When they finally return, Tatsumi uses the chaos to escape. For a brief moment, Esdeath looks around in shock and heartbreak. The man she's fallen for is gone once again. Soon after, Chelsea carries out her first assassination for Night Raid. Disguised as a maid, she infiltrates the home of a corrupt merchant who has been exploiting the poor. Without hesitation, she ends his life, sending a chilling message to the capital. But the Jaegers are quick to respond, arriving just moments too late. Night Raid may have won this round, but the Empire is watching closely. And the real war between assassins has only just begun. Night Raid's leader reveals a daring plan. To finally bring down the corrupt empire, they'll strike from 3 sides at once. To do this, they intend to use the influence of a rising religion called the Path of Peace. On the surface, it sounds perfect. Convince its massive following to revolt, then attack the capital from all directions. But Tatsumi immediately hesitates. He knows war won't just topple rulers, it'll cost thousands of innocent lives. His concerns are brushed aside. Sometimes they're told, war is the only way forward. What no one realizes is that inside the Path of Peace lurks a traitor, a spy planted by the Prime Minister himself. Worse, many followers are being drugged into blind loyalty. Night Raid believes they must eliminate this threat first, but before they can act, the Jaegers set a deadly trap. Esdeath, always calculating, sends her squad ahead to spring it. But Night Raid is ready. Mine ambushes Kurome, and Susanoo reveals himself from a scarecrow disguise, unleashing devastating power. Even Wave struggles to stand against him. Soon, Akame finds herself face to face with her sister Kurome, who now commands a horrifying ability, controlling the corpses of fallen warriors, even a massive dragon. The battlefield becomes a nightmare. Akame is forced to fight not only her sister, but also the reanimated body of her childhood friend, now turned into Kuromi's puppet. Night Raid members clash across the field. Mine narrowly escapes being digested by a monstrous frog. Tatsumi fights alongside his allies to survive. And Susanoo unleashes his trump card, obliterating a dragon in a single strike. But his immense power comes at a cost. Every use drains the life force of Najenda, his master. 3 strikes could mean her death. Meanwhile, Chelsea takes matters into her own hands. She disguises herself, infiltrates enemy ranks, and lands a poison strike on Kurome. But Kurome's drug-enhanced body makes her immune, and the tables turn. Chelsea's escape fails. Kurome's puppet cuts her down, leaving her lifeless in the streets. When Tatsumi and Akame arrive, they follow a trail of blood into the capital, only to find a horrifying sight. Chelsea's severed head displayed on a pike, a message from the Jaegers. Night Raid reels in grief, but instead of breaking, their resolve hardens. They swear to fight on, no matter how heavy the losses become. And as Tatsumi looks toward the looming battles ahead, one thing is clear: the war has only just begun. As night falls, Esdeath and her squad arrive first, briefing Black on Night Raid's movements. Calm and confident, Black assures her he has 4 elite bodyguards watching the city, ready to track the rebels' every move. Meanwhile, Akame meets with informants to coordinate with other anti-government forces, but danger strikes instantly. A bodyguard ambushes them. Akame struggles initially, but swiftly defeats her attacker, cutting him down and moving on. Elsewhere, Lubbock faces a deceptive trap of his own. A bodyguard mistakes him for a member of Night Raid and attacks. Thinking quickly, Lubbock feigns death, setting up a deadly trap with wires and spears. One by one, the guards fall, only for a clever female opponent to challenge him. Even her attempts are countered as Lubbock manipulates his weapons remotely, ultimately forcing her to retreat. The team regroups under Najenda's command. She divides Night Raid into 2 teams. Tatsumi and Mine will infiltrate the religious group from within, while the others target Black directly. Susanoo and Leone move toward Black's building but face fierce resistance from Wave and Kurome. Underground, Tatsumi and Mine confront elite bodyguards. Mine engages in a tense duel with Serio, whose attacks include rockets and a formidable organic weapon. Despite the danger, Mine's precision strikes eventually break Serio's defenses. Serio's desperation peaks, activating a bomb in a last attempt to take Mine down. But Tatsumi arrives just in time to save her, showing the depth of their trust and the unspoken bond between them. Above ground, Night Raid eliminates Black's remaining bodyguards, clearing the way for their next move. The final stage of their operation begins. The Revolutionary Army strikes the south, while Night Raid infiltrates the capital from multiple points. Esdeath secures the west, keeping her forces ready but isolated. Mine and Leone navigate the underground tunnels, while Tatsumi and Lubbock storm from above. A mysterious female spy joins them, guiding them to a critical location, only to discover the gruesome aftermath. The enemy has massacred the revolutionary operatives, their bodies rigged to explode. Tatsumi charges in, clashing with the Prime Minister's son and a powerful general. Using his realm, Tatsumi launches relentless attacks, but the general's overwhelming strength forces him to retreat. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister's son moves to confront Lubbock, setting the stage for the next intense showdown. The tension is palpable, the stakes higher than ever, and Night Raid's fight for freedom has reached a tipping point. Every move now could decide the fate of the capital, and the lives of countless innocents hang in the balance. Lubbock faces an intense fight as the Prime Minister's son relentlessly attacks, teleporting and striking from every angle. But Lubbock cleverly uses his wires, cutting through the enemy's defenses and turning the tide. In a daring move, he drags the enemy into another dimension, impales him with a spear made from his wires, and systematically disables his heart, finally returning, but badly wounded. Tatsumi witnesses his friend fall, and before he can react, he is captured. The Prime Minister, cold and calculating, shows no real grief for his son, focusing instead on asserting power over Night Raid and the revolutionaries. Just as Tatsumi faces public execution, Esdeath arrives, offering him a choice: join her team or face torture. Tatsumi refuses, staying true to his ideals. At the same time, Mine swoops in, attacking Esdeath to protect him, and Najenda coordinates a daring rescue, creating chaos that allows Tatsumi to escape. Inside the palace, Mine and Leone engage a powerful general. Despite their combined effort, the general proves nearly unstoppable, until Akame arrives, locating Tatsumi's sword and bringing it to him, turning the battle in their favor. Mine unleashes a final attack that topples the general, but exhaustion sets in, leaving her vulnerable. Tatsumi rushes to her side, holding her as she slips away, whispering her love before passing. The emotional weight hits him hard, marking a turning point in the battle. Meanwhile, Esdeath unleashes her frozen time ability, targeting Susanoo and threatening Night Raid's retreat. But Najenda pours her life energy into Susanoo, allowing him to fight back and hold the line. Tatsumi carries Mine's lifeless body to safety, grappling with the pain of loss, while Night Raid reassesses their strategy, knowing they must move quickly before anyone else falls. Elsewhere, Kuroma faces her sister Akame in a tense confrontation. Childhood memories, betrayal, and unresolved emotions fuel their battle. Kurome summons the dead with her realm, but Akame, consumed by anger, destroys them all in a single devastating strike. The fight reaches a climax, with Wave arriving to intervene. Tatsumi stops him, insisting this battle is personal. In the final moment, Akame lands a decisive strike, piercing through her sister's defenses and ending the duel. The battle is over, but the cost is heavy. Loss, heartbreak, and the scars of war weigh on every member of Night Raid. Yet, their resolve remains unbroken, and the fight for justice and freedom continues, setting the stage for the next chapter of their revolution. As the dust settles on the battlefield, Akame whispers to her sister Kurome one final time, "Now you can rest." Wounded and defeated, Kurome's body is carried away by Wave, leaving the sisters' tragic bond lingering in the air. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister turns to the Child Emperor, tasking him with a grave responsibility: to protect his people at all costs. Night Raid's leadership springs into action. Najenda leads the revolutionary forces to attack from the front, while Tatsumi and Akame infiltrate the palace, aiming directly for the Prime Minister. But the Child Emperor, now transformed into a massive mecha, unleashes a devastating laser strike, causing chaos and casualties throughout the capital. The scale of destruction forces Wave to make a critical decision. He joins Night Raid to counter this threat. Inside, Tatsumi confronts the Child Emperor, reasoning with him about the brainwashing he endured. The Emperor refuses to listen and nearly kills Tatsumi, but Wave intervenes just in time. Together, Tatsumi and Wave exploit weaknesses in the mecha, striking relentlessly. Just when hope seems lost, Tatsumi experiences a vision of Bullet, reminding him to combine his own powers with the sword's hidden dragon energy. Harnessing this newfound strength, Tatsumi transforms into a radiant golden avatar, obliterating the mecha from within. Yet, with the collapsing machine threatening innocent lives below, Tatsumi risks everything to hold it back, suffering grievous injuries in the process. Akame finds him bleeding and dying, cradling him and reminding him of the promise he made, to survive until the end. As night falls, Akame informs him that the child emperor has been defeated, the prime minister captured, and the revolutionary army has successfully surrounded the fortress. Esdeath, refusing to surrender, battles Akame with ferocious power. Seeing no other option, Akame cuts her hand to release a potent poison, unleashing her true form and supercharging her abilities. In a stunning display, she finally overpowers Esdeath, who succumbs to the poison. In a poignant and heartbreaking moment, Akame holds Tatsumi's lifeless body, whispering that they can finally be together in death. A blizzard envelops them, erasing their bodies from sight, symbolizing both loss and closure. With the prime minister finally dead, the child emperor publicly executed, and justice served, the revolutionary forces emerge victorious. Leon confronts the fleeing prime minister, stopping him with unrelenting force, ultimately crushing him to prevent any further tyranny. In the aftermath, peace begins to return. Citizens rejoice, finally free from oppression. Najenda reminds the team of their mission, to rebuild a nation remembered for its good, not its corruption. In the final, quiet moment, Akame looks toward the east, ready to start a new life and chapter, carrying the weight of her sacrifices but also hope for the future. The story ends with a sense of bittersweet triumph. Heroes survived, love endured, and a new beginning awaits.